Welcome, everybody, to Real Fun Times with the Doctor. That's me.
And Snowy, that's me.
And we're back to your regular scheduled program.
It's crazy. It's weird. It's been so long.
It does feel a little odd.
Yeah.
I felt the same. But guess what, guys? I wish I could do that record scratch sound effect. No, I'm not
Just
that
insert
guy.
it.
Oh, yeah. You should produce this thing. We actually have some exciting changes coming up.
Yeah, we're
starting right the fuck now.
This very moment.
What's going on? What are we doing?
We're changing up the format a little bit.
That's right. As you guys know, we're still very new to this.
Yeah.
I would say confidently, I still don't know what I'm doing by far. Still loving the shit out of it, and we want to continue.
Yes, we do.
So to do that, we thought we might play around a little bit with what's going on so we can make the episodes smaller, easier to digest in one sitting, and hopefully more awesome.
Yeah.
So to do that, we're going to X the live watch.
Which hurt our hearts. Like, it was not an easy decision.
It wasn't an easy decision, I will confess. But we're still watching the movie together.
Yeah, that won't change.
We're just not recording it. So we're hoping that part of it will give us the extra time that we need. And we're still going to be reviewing the movie.
Yeah.
Still going to be having some laughs and some good times. Still want you guys to show up. Come hang out with us.
Indeed.
And tell us what you think. What do you think about the old format? What do you think about this new stuff?
Yeah. We would love your feedback, because if it's not working, then
let us know.
Yeah.
But before we go much further, I've got some real fun facts for you, Snowy.
I would love to hear them.
I would love to share. So, the biggest... Whoa.
Whoa.
Something happened. Let's try that again. The biggest tomato fight in the world happens each year in the small Spanish town of Buñol. The festival, called La Tomatina, involves 40,000 people throwing 150,000 tomatoes at each other.
Would you be involved in the tomato fight?
Kind of depends how fucked up I am. Like, at first, the beginning of the day, I'm like, I'm not going, guys. I just want to watch.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Like, several tomato-induced cocktails later, I'm like in there, throwing tomatoes, getting beamed in the head. Are they soft? Are they overripe? I have a lot of questions. You could hurt yourself.
You could.
With a firm tomato.
If you've got somebody thinking they're trying to, like, throw a baseball and, like, break a record, I probably could not be involved, because my first inclination is towards
gonna get angry,
utter violence.
Angry.
And yeah, I'm gonna go after
You're
somebody.
Not wearing the right outfit for like fucking tomato juice.
Yeah, like,
essence.
Motherfucker, you just hit me in the head. Prepare to die. And then
80 people dead at this year's festival.
The cause is an American.
Oh, man, I feel like that's the cause a lot. Sorry, guys.
That's how we do.
And I've got one more for you, Snowy.
Okay.
So you choose between the number 3 and the number 8.
3.
Going with 3.
Tres.
Tomatoes are the official state vegetable of... Any guesses?
The official state vegetable of... Michigan.
I like that. It's actually New Jersey. Tomato juice is the official state beverage of... Hint, different.
New Jersey?
Ohio.
Of course it is. I love tomato juice.
I don't.
I like V8 juice. Like, I don't ever drink it unless I go to my parents. My mom's like, baby girl, we got some V8 in the fridge. And I'm like, oh, shit, Cindy.
My dad's a big proponent of the V8.
God, I love it. I just think it tastes so good.
I do not. I did. Remember when they came out with, like, the fruit V8s for us?
The tropical? Oh, my God, I love the tropical V8. That shit's delicious.
That I can throw down.
It's orange. It's bright fucking orange.
Yeah, it's so full of, like, sugars and stuff.
I don't care.
Like, don't worry about the tomatoes. Yeah. Nothing to see here.
Vegetables. Mm-hmm.
Well, Snowy, without much further ado, we got to talk about the main event.
Yeah, we do.
We got to go into Previews?
Oh, yeah. I was
Wait for
like,
me to set it up. I'm so sorry. I thought.
I was like, I don't think it's time for real talk yet. I was like, I don't. And I'm like, real talk. And then I fuck everything up.
You went in strong. I liked it. We're going to switch it way up this episode, you guys.
Well, so tonight our film is Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, 1978.
This is older.
This is, yeah. It's not our old. I think our oldest is still Hercules in New York.
Hercules. Oh, Hercules.
According to IMDb, a group of scientists band together to save the world from mutated killer tomatoes.
Nice. Short but sweet.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That's fun.
I mean, how can you set this movie up, really? What
There's
could you possibly write that would make any goddamn sense?
to anybody.
Did you find some fun stuff about this?
I found a ton of fun stuff. I cannot wait
Nice.
for all the fun facts I'm going to be dropping during this episode. So, like I said, this movie came out in 1978, directed by John DeBello, written by Costa Dillon and John DeBello and others. Let's talk about some ratings. IMDb, 4.6 out of 10.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Rotten Tomatoes, 27% on the tomato meter.
That's tomato against tomato violence.
And we don't stand for that shit here. And
No.
at Real Fun Times. 42% audience score.
Okay.
Metacritic, 6.0 user rating.
Okay.
9
Whoa,
Metascore.
that Metacritic, dude.
9 out of 100.
Wow. He's tough
It is
to
way in
please.
the red.
Way in the red.
Yeah. I will be honest, we are not going to do really any cast talk because there was nobody in this movie.
How?
How
Did this do when it came out, though? Was it a success? I've never heard of it. In fact, I recommend this was one I threw in because my brother-in-law, recommended it.
Right.
I'd never heard of it. I don't know that many people have. Have they? Is this a popular movie?
Kind of. It's
Like a cult classic.
Yeah. Like it started now, I mean, it stemmed a whole franchise. Like I'll get into more
Really?
into that later, but yes. I don't blow my load immediately.
Please don't.
I'm gonna squirt too soon, you know.
Right.
And again, but there is one person that was uncredited in the movie that I want to talk about later when we get to that because I was
Shocked.
well, it was kind of fun because he's somebody that's been in some David Lynch stuff. And we know what a disciple of David Lynch I am.
Big fan.
So it was just kind of fun to see that he had this
connection.
Yeah. So that's all. Let's just get into the movie, and then I have got, like I said, a load of fun facts for you about this film. And
well, if we're jumping in, I'm jumping right in.
Okay.
Because
both
right
feet first.
off, both.
Do you know that's how I fucked up? I was drunk a few years ago, thought I was jumping into the 5-foot part of the pool
The
at
deep
night.
end?
I was jumping into
You
the
were in
3-foot,
shallow
and I ended up like
end? You're like
I
8
kind
feet
of
tall.
I know, and I kind of like
Did you screw it up?
I fucked up my foot. Like to this day,
Did it,
it's still
like,
not quite
go
right.
in a different direction than it should have?
I'm pretty sure like I chipped the bottom of like the bone, and it was. I couldn't walk on it for
Lord.
weeks, and
Lord.
it was bad. It was bad.
Owie, owie. How'd you get the fuck out of the pool?
I was drunk, and I was like,
Thank God you didn't
"Woo!"
drown.
And then I when I put my weight down on it, I was like,
Instant regret.
the pain, yeah. So
Good feelings gone.
exactly.
Well, I want to start with the opening crawl because to me, I didn't know what to expect out of this, Snowy, at all. Didn't know it, not familiar, and
Not seen it since I was a
I'm gonna
kid.
give you a little sneak peek. Pleasantly surprised.
Yes.
And this opening crawl I thought was hilarious and really set the tone for me right off the bat.
Yeah.
So I'd like to read it to you.
Yes.
In 1963, Alfred Hitchcock made a motion picture entitled The Birds, a film which depicted a savage attack upon human beings by flocks of winged creatures. People laughed. In the fall of 1975, 7 million blackbirds invaded the town of Hopkinsville, Kentucky. resisting the best efforts of mankind to dislodge them. No one's laughing now. I fell over on the couch. I was like, amazing.
Yeah, we did get a good kick out of that.
And the action kind of picks up right away. We see our
Yes.
first killer tomatoes,
Mhm.
our first kills.
Mhm.
What happens?
A woman is washing dishes, and then from the sink, she hears this.
The best.
The sounds they
gag,
make,
this-
it's so
the
funny.
tomato sound.
Like,
And it starts like that because they're small.
Mhm.
And then
and she's like, "Moo!" And it's
it's hilarious. We get another death where there's a guy drinking tomato juice,
and then
and then he's like,
the wife does not give a shit. Her Marlboro Light is slowly like,
That's right. And then we get the Jaws spoof killing.
okay, so the Jaws thing killed me.
That was
That
brilliant.
was in
And
the area in Martha's Vineyard.
some of the great parts of this is the subtlety.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't like, "Bah, look at me now." Like a lot of these jokes, and there were a lot. You had to really
you
pay
had to pay attention.
attention.
There were things that I picked up the second go round. I was like, oh shit, I missed it the first time. And
Yeah.
okay, so regarding this Jaws scene, the little boy who's uncredited is Dana Ashbrook.
Okay.
Now, he played Bobby in Twin Peaks, but do you know what he was in that we've watched and reviewed?
No idea.
Waxwork. He was the one with the floppy hair that had the werewolf scene.
Yes. Definitely know that guy.
That was his very first movie, was being uncredited in Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
That's such a cool connection.
Yeah.
No way. Tip of the old hat.
We see the lady get killed first, and then it goes to all the opening credits, and they're hilarious.
They are.
They are like, it's the theme song, which I mean, that Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, like, so good.
You know, this was categorized as a musical somewhere when we were like,
Yeah, and we
looking
were
at
like, we
this.
didn't know this was a
There's
musical.
no way this is a musical.
And there's
but
like there's a few songs.
the way they did it was perfect. That's as much music as I need in my musicals.
I agree.
3 songs taps.
But at one point, they're like, when they're going through all the people in the movie, introducing so-and-so as Miss Potato Famine 1922.
Yeah.
Literally, the woman does not have a speaking part at the very end. Like, it's just, she's wearing it's so funny.
Brilliant.
And then there's a thing that says, like, this space available. Like, they're renting, this space. And then the movie was based on the Tomatoes of Wrath. Like,
That's good.
I mean, just
that's good.
so smart, and you really have to pay attention.
I was particularly surprised because this is from the 70s. I guess I just haven't watched a lot of 70s movies.
It was
so I
right
don't
after
have
Airplane came out. It was all in
point of
that
reference.
time.
Man, they were on to, as far as comedy. This
Finger on the
particular,
pulse.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
And this movie was critically panned. I mean, people just shit all over this movie.
I don't know why I can see this influencing a lot of comedy afterwards.
100%. Yeah, most definitely. So speaking of the Attack of the Killer Tomatoes theme song, this theme's actually been played in space.
What?
So in like 1990, there was the Columbia Space Shuttle.
Yes.
And they were doing shit with they were literally like collecting like 12 million tomato seeds that were out in space that they'd put there to bring
What?
back to like disperse to like children at like elementary schools for them to plant and see, whatever.
That's cool.
But as a joke, their wake up call was the Attack of the Killer Tomatoes theme.
Great theme.
Yeah. But I
Now,
think it's cool.
It pales in comparison to an upcoming song
Well,
that we will talk about.
and I'll sing for you. So.
Yes, I'm so excited now. So what's going on in the movie is the tomatoes are going wild and people are noticing. Stuff's happening all over. What I wasn't clear on, is this a local, like, U.S. situation? Is this a global tomato pandemic? I'd like more information. Maybe in those upcoming sequels we'll find out more.
Ever saw what was happening in the U.S. And I didn't. Again, going back through, it's the press secretary that we meet who,
Richardson.
maybe.
Richards, something like that. I just called him press secretary.
Yeah, me too. Who put, as he put it, an obscure group of generals and scientists together.
Hold the phone. This gag. Another thing I really appreciate about this movie is they were ballsy with the lengths of their gags. They were not afraid to let that
Let it
fucker
ride.
ride. And it killed me. The longer, the more uncomfortable, the more asinine, particularly this scene where the team, the scientists and the big honchos have to figure out what they're going to do
Yeah.
about the problem. And they're all in this
They
tiny
pile into a
space.
closet, essentially, that has a long table and some folding chairs. And they're having to crawl over the
Grown ass
table.
men,
Just
all shapes and sizes.
hilarious. And it just keeps going.
And then, of
like,
course, there's a guy that's late.
yeah, so then him having to crawl over the table, and then when they have the Japanese scientist, which is I'm going to make a point of the fact that he's Japanese, because they certainly did.
That was a sign of the times, but
hilarious. I don't care. Yeah, it was funny. Like when he gets up to speak, he has to go stand at like kind of the front of the room, if you will. And what's hilarious is they have dubbed his voice like
badly.
And which is obviously purposeful.
Sure.
But it's so funny because at first we're like, is his fucking voice dubbed?
What's going on with this guy?
And then there's a picture of the USS Arizona beside him on the wall, and his hands, him being a hand talker, kind of, pops it off the wall and then goes immediately into a fish tank that we don't ever see again.
Yeah, I was like, ooh.
And if you don't know that, look up your history, kids. I thought it was funny. We were like, oh shit, that's cold.
It was
too soon.
Cold-blooded.
And I can't remember if it was before or after this. We see there's a bunch of these guys in a field, and there's a helicopter on fire.
That's right.
That was not part of the movie.
What?
They rented that helicopter for $60,000, and something happened, and it actually exploded.
And
Fortunately,
they kept it in the movie?
Fortunately, nobody got hurt. They were able to drag out the pilot and the two guys. And thank God there was some smart cameraman who was like, I'm going to keep the camera rolling.
Yes.
And those guys ad-libbed that whole scene outside of the...
Gold, I want to rewatch it immediately, just that scene.
Yeah,
because wowee. And the fact that they kept
so
it
impressive.
More wowies.
Just, when I read that, I was like, what? But it ended up, so their budget for the movie was $120,000. That helicopter totally blew it.
Totally. And then they blew it.
They rented.
So the plan is the president decides he's going to get a crack team on the case, right? And this crack team consists of a guy I named Belush.
Mason Dixon.
The leader. I don't know why he reminded me of Belushi in that photo.
I get it.
But after that, it's all I could see, even though he's clearly not even close.
Right.
In my mind, Belush.
Right. Belush. Got it.
Wrote and starred in this film. Then we have Disguise Guy, who is hilarious.
Brilliant.
His first disguise was just one of those...
one of those noses. One of those...
like you would see on a comic strip of like
Groucho
a bad...
Marx,
just... killed me. And his deadpan delivery, but then like huge grins to the camera, just he killed me.
Yeah, that guy, everything he did, I loved. I could have watched an entire movie of just him,
right?
And then perfectly satisfied.
Totally.
Kind of like the cop buddy in Samurai Cop, which you mentioned during our watch. You were like, some of these looks, like these looks are gold. And again, we could have watched a whole movie of just that dude
easily.
Yeah.
Then we had Scuba Guy.
Yeah, which
I don't
understand.
And then we had Olympic gold swimmer girl or lady. I didn't know her. Maybe she was an actual Olympian back then.
I don't think
they were just playing off of that look.
Yeah, I think so.
And then Parachute Guy,
the airman,
who had this giant sword, and that'll come into play later. But man, Parachute Guy cracked me up too.
He did all of his own stunts in the movie.
Dragging that parachute must have been hell, dude.
It wasn't. It got him hurt once. It actually got him hurt and knocked out.
During that slow car chase scene at the end. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah. We'll get there because
You
That
have something?
I do. I do indeed.
Ooh, I skipped ahead.
Okay, so the press secretary is having this conference. He says it's over. And then this like, little kid in the back is like, "Excuse me," and he's like, "Oh yes, young man!" Like so excited. This like little boy is gonna ask him a question,
A
and
softball, like just lobbing it up.
and he asks him about the growing tomato menace, and his face drops. He's horrified. Like it's so funny.
It's
And then,
good.
of course, all the other reporters are like, "Rah, rah, 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 rah," you know, exactly. Yeah. And then we meet Lois Fairchild.
Lois. Lois, the snazzy journalist is what I wrote.
The snazzy journalist. And the guy who was the editor, I guess, in chief of the newspaper, he asked for all the males and where's all the guys that can do this. And then finally the little guy he's talking to was like, "We only have one, and it's a woman."
I didn't
And
love
so
the chief, but I saw what they were doing.
I didn't either because the whole thing was like, he's like, "You've got this, you've got that, and you've got a nice ass," and he does his whole up
like
and down
little
look.
lady type of
Yeah.
attitude.
And that is what the fuck we deal with on a daily basis.
Yeah, sounds Nelly.
I remember doing a car wash when I was 15 years old.
That's young.
Okay, I was 15. No,
Were
I'm a
you
liar.
wearing like
I'm a liar.
appropriate
I'm a
clothes?
liar. I'm 16. I was 16. Standing, on the side of the road with a little sign, and I have on at this point. I've got on a white tank top and a At the time it was the 90s, so like I had like a kind of a long, like kind of peasant skirt on, right?
Sure.
And at the time he looked like an old man. He was probably like 47.
30. Oh, okay.
Comes by in his fancy smancy sports car that totally, now I know he had a very tiny dick.
So small.
Rolls down his window to tell me that I have nice tits.
To a 16-year-old?
I was,
I mean,
now
I guess
granted,
he
like,
didn't know, but
like it said for
still.
like my high school, it was like the so and so high school,
It was clear you guys were
like band
children.
car wash. Now, granted, I have been buxom and curvy since I was a wee little
And you
Snow
were
Owl.
tall, probably.
I was tall. Yeah,
Yeah,
I was about the height I am now.
So
like,
maybe he was like, "Look at that teacher."
maybe, but I remember I was so horrified. I remember like kind of like my whole body language just changed, and it's like I went my fucking shoulders went down, and I was like, I don't want to stand by the road anymore.
No. Well, sure, we'll get triple the sales, but guys, that's not the point. We'll get to Costa Rica and back 3 times, but guys, that's not the point.
That's not the point.
Oh man.
So anyway, do better, man. So he tells her she's on the case of this growing tomato
That's right.
situation we have. There's a really funny moment after that when she and Mason Dixon meet for the first time.
Are you talking about the?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, which I didn't catch the first go round.
I totally did. When he walks by and he's like, "Hey, Lois," and she's just like very casually, "Hey, Clark."
I
and
got
he's
that.
taking his glass. Oh, the up and away.
Yeah, I didn't catch the moment after until the second go round.
It's so fast and subtle. They're not yelling it out. You just have to catch it or not. But when you do, it's so delightful. But yeah, she's a pretty good journalist to track down Dixon.
Mason Dixon.
Dixon.
Yes. After that, we hear puberty love for the first time.
Well, I have the team splits up and they go off doing their own individual missions.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where and maybe I'm wrong about the order, but this is where the press secretary meets that janky ass salesman.
That used furniture salesman.
Yes.
Such a ridiculous and funny and familiar person.
Absolutely, they haven't changed in many decades. Because I know this guy. I've seen this guy in my local TV stations a lot.
Yeah, I still kind of, even after watching the movie twice now, I didn't quite get like, I guess he was coming to him because he thought he could handle the situation.
Muddled. It's muddled. And then I think what happens is, and I was lost about this, but I think it was the intent is that the government gives him a shit ton of money to like figure this out, but he keeps like doing asinine shit with it, like bumper stickers, worthless
There
ideas.
was that like tomato plant versus nuclear plant bit later in the movie, and um
And then I think what you said happens.
the yeah, hearing the puberty love,
And
which talk go ahead, I've got things to say.
now I again can't quite remember because in my notes puberty love is a little further down, so I'm just going to throw this stuff in here. We start losing members of the squad.
Mhm.
So first, disguise guy actually succeeds in infiltrating the tomatoes.
Looking like a Fruit of the Looms guy. Looking like the
Do
Fruit of the
you
Looms.
think that was the inspiration?
Well, I think for the Fruit of the Loom
Right?
characters, maybe. Which I honestly forgot to look that up, and maybe it'll be a fun fact that I put on social media. I don't know.
Yeah, I would love to know the origin
If I
of Fruit
find
of
out, yeah.
the Loom.
But
But
so funny.
how does he get spotted?
He is eating a hot dog with them, and he asks for ketchup, and they're like, because they're big now, like, roar. And in the movie we saw him, he was like George Washington, he was Abraham Lincoln, he was Hitler, and at one point when the airmen parachutes into their
Hitler
car,
that he played,
and he's like, "You sprechen de Deutsch," and he's like, "Wiener Schnitzel," and then that great big, just goofy ass grin. It was so funny.
Oh God, his disguise guy. Wow. But we also lose Olympic lady. She's just kind of hanging. I guess
Eating her steroid cereal.
I guess they're all in different areas that they've been kind
Mason
of
Dixon's like dropping them off one by one.
Yeah, and so she's just kind of chilling in her wooded area, and she gets fucked.
Yeah, all the tomatoes just start coming at her. And first she's dodging them, then the great big one just runs her over.
Yeah,
and then
no chance.
That's that.
And then I have we talked about this. They are getting fucking way bigger now. And the army is being decimated by them. It's no contest.
Yeah.
They're fucked.
That one army song that had like the 5 or 6 guys that do this little sing.
That completely reminded me of fucking
Robin Hood, Men in Tights, yeah. That we got a kick out of. When I was watching it, I finished it up again this afternoon. And just the moves he was doing, they were kind of Elvis-y at some points, and then kind of like showman-y, and
they went for it. And in my opinion, nailed it.
Somewhere in the middle of all this, we see a city that's clearly San Francisco, right?
Oh yes,
and it's got the little trolleys, the tram,
yeah.
And you see Alcatraz in the background, and then the screen says New York,
bold for sure,
which I missed the first. I was like,
but did you see the follow-up gag where they did another cityscape that still wasn't New York, and they were like, New York question mark?
I missed that. Like, it was one thing after the other.
God, it was fast.
Yeah.
You had to be in it to win it.
Yes.
And then I have now in my notes we've come to puberty love and how puberty love. That's, guys, she's not exaggerating even a little bit
at all.
I want you to YouTube puberty love.
Yeah.
In fact, I want you to do it again so I can record it and it'll be my new like text message. Puberty love.
That's all I know.
So Dixon's like investigating some tomato juice he sees on the sidewalk, and he's like walking around. Suddenly a huge tomato comes out and he's running. He runs into an apartment, and some kid's just listening to the radio, and the guy's like, and now our new hot hit, puberty love.
He can't stop doing that.
And Dixon, who was just about to die because the tomato was going to attack him, the tomato
hurls itself out the window.
Commit suicide.
Yeah, because it can't deal with the puberty love song. Fun fact. Are you ready for it?
I don't know.
I don't know if you are. Puberty Love was sang by a kid named Matt Cameron.
That's not a real song. That's not a song that came out in life.
It was a song they recorded for the movie.
For the movie.
For the movie.
Okay.
It was done by a kid named Matt Cameron. who would later go on to be the drummer of both Soundgarden and Pearl Jam.
Get the fuck out of
Fortunately, it didn't ruin his
here.
career. He was like 14, 15.
I think he probably nailed it for what they were looking for
Yeah.
because
He was
this
going through the
song,
change and
oh, it killed me because it's not the only time we hear it. It comes back later.
yeah, it does. Oh, do you remember that blind cop bit? The blind cop service announcement, and it's like he's a cop like any other, and you just see a guy directing traffic, and then they're
Oh
like,
my
"But he's
God.
blind."
And then the accidents,
Yeah.
tire screeching, a woman screaming,
And the press secretary's watching it, and he's like, "Oh my god!"
Completely forgot about that bit. So good. Oh, so next up we have our hilarious car chase, right? Because Belushi, after he gets saved from the tomato, heads to his car and sees a masked guy,
Fucking with his car,
right, trying to kill his buddy. Actually, parachute guy was in there,
Yeah, there
but
was.
like knocked out. Something was up with him, and so Belushi gets in the car and he chases after him and this has been done a lot, but I think this might have been maybe one of the originals that did this ridiculously slow car chase.
So slow. And so when that guy, that actor, I think his name was like Stephen Pierce, when the airman, when he was like had his parachute stuck in the car, I guess the car like it wouldn't stop or something, and he ended up running headfirst into a truck and like getting knocked out, and production had to stop for a while.
Holy shit, that was a crazy stunt.
And when
And
he
you could tell it was legit. He was tied to the door was closed in on it. He was having to keep pace. I could see that going all sorts of wrong. The fact that they got a good copy of it.
and there was a point like it's dragging him and he's on his stomach behind it. He had a piece of like wood on his stomach, and that's how he was not getting fucked up.
That's it. Just a little piece of wood.
Yeah.
What if he rolled under that fucking car?
Shit would have been bad.
Wow. Killer tomatoes. Taking risks. Being edgy.
There was something that I don't know if you picked up on that I thought was so funny when Mason Dixon and the airmen are in their hotel room.
Yes.
Which by the way, we both said there was that guy in the lobby that looked like Mac from It's Always Sunny. Like,
yes.
It was
at the
both
same
of us at the same time.
Yeah.
But the airman's watching TV and there's a commercial or listening to the radio, I can't recall. And there is a commercial for a new album, a compilation called 21 Deadbeats. And they're like Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, Buddy Holly, Jim Croce. Like, and and they named a couple of people. I laughed my ass off when I heard that second go round.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
And I was like, again, just so brilliant. And as somebody who loathes Janis Joplin, like I loathe Barbara Streisand, I thought it was a great bit.
No, that's
that
pretty
was fantastic.
Funny. That's pretty funny. So during this car chase, Belushi gets outside of the car and starts running and is shooting because that's how slow it is. But then gets knocked out by the car. Maybe the car door, something happens, some hijinks happen, and he gets knocked out.
Mm-hmm.
And when he wakes up, what does he find?
I can't remember.
The masked villain is unmasked, and who is it?
It's the press secretary.
Fucking Richardson or Richards or whatever.
I like the dance.
Shit, I wasn't ready.
I was not either. I was like, that was an unexpected turn.
Oh man, and he does a great job of like a early Bond villain vibe.
Yeah,
just way overdoing it, milking the scene, just like he's holding the gun to him, and Belushi can't believe it, and woe is me, and he's like not behind the Killer Tomatoes becoming Killer Tomatoes. We still don't really know how that fucking happened. But he has figured out how to fucking control them.
Yeah. Oh, and he has a little spoiler. Like he says something about being in tune with his vegetables.
Yes.
And that was the second go round. I was like, I see what you did there.
Yes. And he like brings out a tomato and tosses it at him, a small regular tomato. He's like, don't worry.
Yeah.
That one won't hurt you. And it's just so, they really milk this part. He's like, I'm going to tell you. And then
airman takes his big long sword and stabs
That
him.
sword's like 8 feet long.
Yeah.
He totally did. He just ran him through and was like, okay, and then was out of there, dragging his little parachute behind him. And who was pissed?
Fucking Mason Dixon.
Belush
Yeah.
was livid, and I love that they showed that because I would have been livid. We were right about to find out.
Are you kidding me right now?
So it's around this time, I guess there was an album of Puberty Love at the press secretary's place. Something
Like,
somehow
a bunch of records get knocked over.
Dixon like puts it together.
Mhm.
It's like, this is the plan. And so he decides, I think I didn't get this exactly, but I think what they were going for is like the city's a little bit abandoned.
Mhm.
There's not a lot of people left.
Yeah.
Either they've run away or they've been tomatoed.
Mhm.
And
It's like they've been tortured, pillaged, and raped.
that's right. I forgot that bit.
We were like, oh my
It went
God.
dark.
Tomato rape. That's.
Ew. Ew, a million times. Ew.
I didn't come up with it. I just restated it.
I was just showing you how upset I was about it. Bad tomato. So he's like, round up the rest of the survivors into the big stadium, the local stadium. And then they do that
They say it's only going to be the weirdos that are left,
in the city.
and that's the ones that are going to come.
But that was true to point.
Yeah, I just want to point that out.
They did say that, and they were right.
It was a bunch of freaks. All wearing their own clothes, by the way. Everybody, that's how they came dressed to be an extra.
What was the other movie that did that? That we
Oh, it was
reviewed?
Samurai Cop.
Samurai Cop. Brilliant. So they gather up, and then the tomatoes come roll in there to finish off. The
And now they're all like,
oh. And they're like, play
they play Puberty Love.
on the speakers, and it shrinks the tomatoes, and so the people go crazy.
Yeah,
It's
and
time
they
to
start
stomp
smashing them.
some motherfucking tomatoes.
So what's funny, the director, John Bello, said he had stock tomatoes and he had star tomatoes. And he had the stock tomatoes with the shitty ones that they could smash and everything, but the star tomatoes are the beautiful ones that were going to actually have like their moment on camera.
I love how much he loves tomatoes. I had no idea.
He got the idea for the movie from a was it a Japanese film? But it was called Attack of the Mushroom People.
Oh,
And he was
I kinda
like,
want to see
This
that.
seems ridiculous. I should probably do this also.
The mushroom people, because they didn't stop at mushrooms, so it's a mushroom person hybrid.
So pretty much, I guess in the movie, the gist that I read, they're on some deserted island, or they're on some kind of island. There's like kind of magic mushrooms, and if you eat them or ingest them, you kind of turn into this mushroom person hybrid, like a great
I've been
right up your
there.
alley.
Oh man. So most of the tomatoes are getting slaughtered except for one tomato.
Who has got gigantic earmuffs that were actually toilet seat covers.
I love how far it was stretched, the little headband. I was like, heard, because I have a whiter forehead.
And then how does he defeat him?
He brings the what's it called?
Sheet music.
The sheet music right on the tomato. Right
For what
to
song?
it.
Oh, that was better than the movie. That was sensual. That was.
Oh, thank you very much. And so the good guys have won the day, and all of a sudden, Belush and Lois are a couple. They're like doing this, like running to each other from far away. But then Belush is the one that jumps into her arms, and
she's
short,
this little skinny thing.
He's short and stocky, and she's like
tall
and
and skinny,
super thin.
yeah.
And it cracks me up because she twirled him like in slow motion, and I was dying. They have a weird duet.
Yeah, it didn't.
I didn't care for it. He had this weird low.
No.
Yeah, very, very annoying. And they walk off into the sunset holding hands.
And that's
Not quite all. We see a little carrot
that's right. I forgot about the carrot.
emerging from the ground, and he says, "All right, you guys, they're gone now." And thus concludes our film. And
That's
I
it.
fucking had a blast. So I think we gotta go right into real talk. Ooh. I had so much fun with this, Snowy.
I had a blast, and I did not think, because I hadn't seen this movie since I was very, very young. It gave me far more than I anticipated, expected. Yeah, it was.
We had a fun watch with it too. I will definitely watch this again.
Mm-hmm.
We've gone on and on about it, but I just think in many ways it was ahead of its time. It wasn't like A plus plus.
No, there was definitely like
There's
I think
definitely
the
some
first part of
issues.
the movie I enjoyed more than the last half of the movie. I would say.
Yeah, I would say that the writing was tighter in that first half. But definitely a fun ride and something I could watch with my buddies. No problem.
Because we even talked about we would actually purchase this probably.
Yeah,
Like
definitely.
yeah.
Remember the Walmart $5 bin
My
days?
God, they were so good.
I would just rifle through them,
Mm-hmm.
go with arm
Go
loads.
past all the Steven Seagal and
Always past the Steven Seagal.
that and the Van Damme and
a fucking ponytail, God. But let's give this guy a little Rooney.
I'll let you go first.
Yeah, I will go first.
Mm.
I'm going to give this guy 3 reels.
I am actually also going to give this 3 reels.
I love it when we're on the same page.
Yeah.
It makes the math so much easier because, guys, when I have 3 and you have 3, that means the rating for Real Fun Times is
3 reels.
So that means there's one more thing to do.
Sombrero picks.
Oh, you went very minimal. I was going to go way out.
Oh.
Sombrero. Oh, we should do it in the tone of puberty love.
Terrified my animals.
And everyone listening to that. they turned it
Why don't we
way
have
down.
more listeners?
Unsubscribe, guys. What happened? What happened with Attack of the Killer Tomatoes? A giant dive. The next film, A Deadly Adoption.
Fuck. Yes, bro. I forgot that we even had that in there. That's gonna be so fun.
Now, not as fun as my new favorite film, Barb and Star.
Go to Vista Del Mar.
Can't wait to see that with you, buddy.
And it's so funny that you and I both watched it independently, and the next time we saw each other, we're like, we can't wait to see this together. Yeah, it's...
But still, great talent, hilarious premise. I cannot wait for next week.
That's going to be awesome.
So that one came out of the sombrero, and we got to put one back in.
What you going to pick, Becca?
I am going to pick a little film from the 1990s.
What a decade.
Wasn't it? This one's called Wild Wild West.
Wiki wow wow, wiki wow wow.
Amazing. Will Smith, check it out.
Oh my God, Kevin Kline.
You guys need to do the remix.
We should. Will call me.
They will never make that movie again. I can't imagine.
I hope not.
And I hope we pick it because
I really like.
It's
I haven't seen that
time
so long
since it came out. That one time it was like, oh, this was
like this is real bad.
What's that record scratch? I'm just gonna keep working
Circling
at it.
back to that.
I'm gonna get there. All right, guys, looking forward to that one if the hat so chooses.
Here's hoping. Fingers crossed.
Buddies, what a fun episode.
Yeah.
Thanks for stopping by. We would love to hear from you.
Reach out. Facebook, Instagram.
Reach out and touch me.
Right, Depeche.
How can they reach out?
They can do it at realfuntimespodcast@gmail.com.
Boom.
They can go to realfuntimespod.com. Holler at us there.
And Instagram, Facebook. Hey, you guys should like,
Subscribe.
review, subscribe. And you've always got to tell somebody. But who?
Your fruit and vegetable stand provider.
Yes, fresh produce guy.
Yep.
Or lady.
Yep.
Do it. Do it.
I think that's who you should talk to. It's summer. Support local farms.
Always.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Let's go out on that. Guys, have a great week. We'll see you next time. Thank you for listening to Real Fun Times, your favorite movie podcast.
Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Real Fun Times, REELFUNTIMES. Real Fun Times is produced by Drea Age, Rose Age, and Noelle Phelps. The thoughts and opinions expressed herein are solely those of the individual hosts, nobody else's. No one's.
Real Fun Times is not affiliated with or connected to any of the motion pictures, music, or other clips played within this podcast. All movie clips and music included in this podcast are the intellectual property of the respective copyright holders. They're included here for review purposes, and absolutely no infringement is intended.
And lastly, a tip of the hat and a sincere thank you to our friend, Autopsy Summer Camp, for our rad outro music. To hear more of his offerings and collaborations, check him out on Instagram at Autopsy Summer Camp. That long ass sword reminded me of, I've told you about that show I've been watching called Sex Life.
You have.
And
People are going to think you just had sex.
speaking of,
It's a good show. My goodness. Remember Sex Life?
the cat just tried to scratch me, man. He just tried to sharpen
Call
his
it
little
what you
claws.
gotta.
Anywho, there's
I
this
need a good scratch.
episode 3. We see this dude's, like, this donkey dick this dude has, and it, like, hangs halfway down his freaking legs. And when the long sword came out, that's what I thought about.
Hilarious, because for a second I forgot that you were talking about that show, and I was like, I don't remember the donkey dick, and I was like upset about it. Like, I didn't see the donkey dick on
Didn't
my
see a
viewing.
penis.
You better show me that penis.